If you currently sell at in-person art and craft fairs and you're thinking about taking the leap to online selling because you keep being asked during craft fairs if they can find you online, well then this video is for you, where I'm going to go over some tips, tricks, and things to think about to get you on the journey to online selling. So keep watching. Hey everybody, Bill here from Craft Fair Insider, and welcome to today's video. So if you're watching this, you probably already sell at in-person art, craft fairs, expos, things like that. And I know that for me personally, when I'm at a fair, I'll be asked at least once a market if I also sell online. Now for me, the answer to that is yes. I have a lot of places that I sell online. And other people have answered no. So maybe the more you're asked the question, the more you might be thinking, is this going to be something that's right for me? How difficult is it going to be? Is it worth any of the hassle? And the answer most likely is going to be yes. You know, art and craft fairs, even if you're doing it sort of professionally and regularly, they're pretty much only weekends. Every once in a while, you might get a nighttime pop-up or something like that. But having the online selling, you know, it's 24/7, 365, and you can sell to people at the far other end of the country. So it's a lot more reach for you. There are two things that you need to ask yourself before you take the online jump. Now, I do recommend that you get your own website, because your own website is your complete playground. There's no other rules that you need to follow or abide by or anything like that. But another option is marketplaces, and I think marketplaces like Etsy, or if you're in the US, Go Imagine, are a way for you to kind of dip your toe into the online selling world, where they will handle certain things for you versus the website that you're going to have to handle completely by yourself. Very much doable, but still something to think about. So let's say you do want to start with a marketplace and you want to go in kind of easy. So what the advantage to a marketplace is, you know, they handle certain things like payment processing. So the person that's buying from you will pay the marketplace, and then the marketplace takes out their fees, sales tax if that applies, and then you get the balance of the funds that are paid for that purchase. So having somebody manage sales tax is certainly an advantage. Now, in a lot of cases, and I'm not a tax professional, so you do want to talk to a tax professional or somebody in the Department of Revenue for the state you're in, but very frequently you're not going to need to collect sales taxes in a lot of other states. The way that you know whether you need to collect sales tax, like I'm in Pennsylvania, and for California, let's say, you have to figure out what nexus is, and nexus is sort of what's the threshold you need to reach in order to start collecting the taxes. Now, a lot of cases, just a physical presence in the state means you've hit nexus, but with online selling, you're not physically there. So the next thing up is going to be, what's the dollar amount that I need to be selling to that state on an annual basis before I need to start collecting sales taxes. And when you're just starting out, the chances are pretty slim that you're going to need to collect taxes for the states. You're going to need to keep an eye on it. If you suddenly explode and have a lot of sales, at some point you'll meet that threshold and have to start collecting sales tax, but not something you have to worry about, generally speaking, right off the bat. And again, not a tax professional, but I know for me, so far I've not hit nexus in any of the other states that I sell exclusively online, and I have not needed to start collecting sales tax out of Pennsylvania, and for me, New Jersey as well, but that's because I'm physically there doing craft fairs. Now, if you want complete control over everything, then the way to go is your own website. And there's a lot of different places that you could go to set that up. So first thing you want to do is think about, okay, if you currently accept credit cards, who's your current credit card service provider? There's Stripe, there's Square, there's Clover. Those are the main ones that I can think of. But the thing about Square is that's probably one of the most common and widely used in the craft fair industry. Square also has the ability to have Square Online, and you can have your website up on Square. Now you can use other website building tools. You can use Shopify. And if you use Shopify, they have their own payment processing system that you're probably not using for your in-person craft fairs. So if you're okay switching to a different place to process your credit card transactions, then you can switch over to, and you could join Shopify and switch over your processor to the Shopify payments. So they both have your chip reader, your credit card readers, so you can physically take it there and then run through those systems. I don't believe Stripe. I think that there are some things that you can connect Stripe to. Go Imagine in the U.S., their payment processor is Stripe, so you'd be able to keep using that and then also add on Go Imagine. But for me, I just personally like having things kind of all in one place. So I do have things on Square. The other question that you're going to have to ask yourself is, you may have Square, I'm going to keep using that one as the example. You may have Square for your credit card processing, but have you put your inventory into Square yet? Or are you simply adding up with a calculator what the sale amount is? So if they buy 5 items at $10 each, are you just typing in $50 into Square and charging it that way? Or do you have your inventory in Square already and you're sort of checking it off as you go? You pick the 5 items and then it adds it up to 50 and then you do the transaction. If you're moving online, obviously you're going to have to take the time to do inventory. And that is something that is not a fun and enjoyable experience. You are going to have to put all the information about all your items, and you are also now going to have to start taking pictures of the items to tie to the descriptions. So photography is super important in online sales. A person is really relying on your photography in order to feel like they're looking at the item in front of them. Where craft fair, it is literally in front of them. They could touch it, they could feel it, they could flip it over, they could see the size of items, and those are all kinds of things you have to somehow emulate, reproduce at an online basis. Do you absolutely have to have the most stellar professional photography? Not necessarily. I look back at some of the pictures that I've taken for my own items, and it's been a very long time. A little bit embarrassed about some of them, but they sell, and I got good reviews on them. So I think that's something that's kind of helpful to know, that it doesn't have to be perfect, and you can grow over the time. So you'll want to make sure that you have enough time dedicated to sit down, take inventory of all of your items, start writing out the descriptions and things like that. There's a lot of free courses that are out there. YouTube's another great place. There are ways that you can find help with writing those descriptions. ChatGPT is an option that's out there to help you with that. We'll save those conversations for another day. Right now, we're just talking about getting started in that process. Now, if you only take cash, Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, and any of those things, and you don't take credit cards, you're going to have even more work to get going online, because you are going to need to set up some kind of credit card processing as well. So you'll want to sign up for Square or Shopify Payments or whatever. The advantage there is that you can then order the reader, and you can also take your credit cards at in-person craft fairs. Now, I don't know too many people that only do the cash transfer options. I think most people have the credit card as the base, and then they'll add other things on. But if you don't currently, that's something you're going to have to look into and see which one makes sense for you. The downside is that if you are continuing to use the the money transfer, the bank transfer apps and things like that, they're never going to be tied to your inventory for online. So in a perfect world, what you want to have happen is somebody's at the craft fair, they come up, they buy the item, and then your in-person item then comes out of your online inventory. Otherwise, when somebody buys something, you're going to have to take some extra time to go out to wherever you're selling online and remove those items. That way somebody doesn't buy it in person and also online. And if you sell a lot of one-of-a-kind items, or like me, I do few of a kind, I don't think there's an acronym for that, but I'll generally have less than 3 of a particular item. So maybe I could make another one, or maybe I have, 3 in stock. I sold 1 online and 1 at a craft fair, and I'm still good and covered. But if you do, things that you only have 1 of, and then they sell in both places, that could be a little bit of a problem for you. And then you'd have to figure out, can you even make another one? Or are you going to have the online person maybe have a bad experience with you because you have to cancel the order and refund them, and that's never fun. So the other things to consider when you are selling online is shipping. So at your in-person craft fairs, you may have your bags and your packing material all set and ready to go. So when somebody buys something, you wrap it up and they're gone. When you sell online, you're now getting into shipping territory. So first, I recommend pirate ship. So you never want to go to the post office, for instance, take your box to the counter and pay for shipping there. You are 100% of the time going to be overspending for shipping. So if you sign up for something like pirate ship, you get their discounted rates. So whether you're offering free shipping to your buyers or you're charging shipping, you want to charge as little as possible for the shipping of the item, because of course people love free shipping, but there's really no such thing as free shipping. Somebody's paying for it some way, shape, or form. So you're going to need things like a scale so you can weigh your boxes when you buy your labels. You're going to need boxes. There are some other postage services are out there, like Shippo is one of them. The thing about Shippo, though, is that there's a limited number of, I'm going to say, free labels that you could buy per month. I think it's 30, and then after 30, they charge you a monthly fee. So I just have completely avoided Shippo because 100% of pirate ship is free and it has a pirate theme to it. I'm not an affiliate for pirate ship. I don't get anything if you sign up for it and buy labels. So just wanted to say that there. So just make sure that you know what boxes you're going to need to package everything up and send it off. Packing tape, other kind of like packing peanuts if it's something super fragile. Just get all of your ducks in a row for whatever it is that you're going to need to ship. You are also going to need to print the labels. So you can certainly do a regular printer, regular paper. You can print that out and then tape it to the box. That's an option, but that is ink and paper over time. I use a Rollo thermal printer and special 4x6 thermal labels. So the advantage there is you never have to buy ink again. It literally burns the image onto the label, so you can't smear it. If it gets wet, it's burned on, so that keeps the integrity of the address for you. I will put a link in the video to some of the tools and equipment that I use in my Venable account, and just so you know, some of them are affiliate links, so if you make those purchases, I might get a couple cents off of each of them for the affiliate link, but it definitely lists out all the different home office type stuff that you might want to get in order to get set up. The next thing is going to be pricing consistency. And to me, I think that is super important that your customers have the same priced items online that they do at your in-person craft fair. Now, maybe that will mean you're going to have to reevaluate your prices overall to make sure that you are making enough of a proper income from your items regardless of where they sell. Because you have some charges on one side if you're doing in person, you have some charges on the other side if you're doing online selling, and it has to work out on the wash. So as you well know, for in-person craft fairs, you have the fact that you have to pay your booth fee, so whatever that is, to be able to sell at the market. There could be some travel expenses associated with that. You are probably charging some kind of or getting charged some kind of payment processing fee. So even if something's $10 for you, whatever your payment processor charges you, you get a little bit less. You have to get your bags and your packing material and things like that. And most importantly, you should be charging for your time as well, not just in making the product, but if you're sitting at a craft fair for 8 hours one day, that is 8 hours that you most likely are not making more stock to support the business, or you could be putting things up online, things like that. So it's a bit of an income loss there. And all that has to be accounted for in your pricing strategy. Now, when you go online, it's going to depend, are you doing a marketplace or are you doing your own website? So your own website, you are going to have an annual charge for having the website, for the hosting. Think about that as your booth fee for your craft fairs. In addition to that, if you're on a marketplace, they're going to charge you a transaction fee for that. So what is the transaction fee? How much is coming off and going to them? And I know people scream a lot of times about, oh, Etsy fees are so high, but they're also providing services for you. They're doing advertising so people know what Etsy is. They are collecting and remitting sales taxes on your behalf. So the current rate, 6.5% transaction fee. I don't think that's bad for the value that I get out of it on Etsy. So all of those things definitely add up, and you have to be accounted for to make sure at the end of the day, when all of those costs are accounted, you're still making enough money to have that as an income for you. So if you think that this sounds good to you, you might want to start taking the steps out to do that. That's fantastic. Again, you just start with where you want to do your selling, start building out your actual website, get ready to be able to start shipping things, and then you can launch it and go from there. The other thing, in both of those cases, if you have a newsletter, which everybody should have an email newsletter, you take your people that you have already collected from your in-person craft fairs, and you can have a sign up on your website as well, and then you can start getting those newsletters, your emails, sale alerts, where you'll be, whatever it is, on your website. And that will just grow your base even further. So that's kind of the idea there. All right. So if you've already made the leap from in-person craft fairs to online selling, want to hear what your experience is. Would you recommend it to somebody else? What's the good, the bad, the ugly? Put that in the comments. If you enjoyed listening to this intro video on taking that first step, please go ahead and like the video. And as this is a relatively new channel, subscribe, and that'll let you know when new videos are put out there. So thank you very much, everybody, for listening today, and good luck out there.